I have spent a couple of weeks with this guitar and now it's good time for me to provide you my review and opinion about this Fender Squier Bullet Stratocaster HSS. This video is not sponsored by anyone, I bought this guitar with my own money. And before we even start, I want to mention that this is the best version of Bullet Stratocaster. If you want the Bullet Stratocaster, I would look for one that has these round tuners. And also, this doesn't say Bullet Strat over here, it says Stratocaster. It looks better and it means that this is the better version. So let's get started. You can see the structure of this video here and use the YouTube timecodes to jump to the section you want to see. And you can check the latest price of this scooter by clicking the link in the description. It helps me a lot and it helps me to produce more scooter content. And it adds no extra cost for you. We will start with the overview of this scooter. So here it is. This Squier has nice brown sunburst finish. The body looks great. Indian laurel fretboard feels good for the price in my opinion, and then the maple neck with the satin finish, and it feels kind of okay. More about these in the playability section. And 6 saddle bridge with the tremolo bar and tremolo arm, and this version of the Strat with the tremolo arm is slightly more expensive than the version without it, and also in my opinion this is the better one, so you get what you pay for. But with some retailers these are priced the same. And with Bullet and Affinity Stratocasters you get the input jack at the top of the guitar's body. Then the backside of this guitar. First you can notice the contour, it's always a nice thing in my opinion, connect you with the guitar. And with the upper fret access and the lower fret access also is quite nice, especially for the price in my opinion. Then the tuners, I think that this version of the Bullet Strat has pretty nice tuners. I think that these are the same than with the Affinity Strats. At least they look exactly the same. And I'm going to do a separate video about the different versions of the Bullet Stratocaster, because I accidentally received this better version of this Bullet Stratocaster. I didn't know that it even existed. But tuners with this, solid for the price in my opinion. But still, this scooter doesn't have the best tuners on this under 200 bucks price range in my opinion. And then closer look at this maple neck with the satin finish. And also one difference with these different Bullet Strat versions. Usually you get the Squier logo and then the Bullet Strat text, but this version has the Squier logo and then the Stratocaster text. And in my opinion this looks a lot better. And then closer look at the Indian laurel fretboard with medium jumbo frets, and this is quite effortless to play in my opinion. It has 9.5 inch fingerboard radius, and even though I usually enjoy playing access with more flatter fretboards, but this 9.5 inch radius didn't definitely ruin anything for me. I still had a lot of fun with this axe. Here you can see the pickups. When I did research, I found out that this has same pickups than Affinity Strat, but correct me if I'm wrong, 1 standard humbucker and 2 standard Strat single coils. And then you got the 1 master volume for the pickups and then the tone control for the neck and middle pickups. So you have tone controls for both single coils but not for the humbucker. And then the 5-way switch, and now on the screen you can see the graph which explains what this switch does with the pickups. And I think that this 5-way switch is always great for beginners. It adds a lot of versatility for you and you can do lots of different things with your budget or beginner axe. When I got my first electric scooter, it had same pickup configuration and same kind of 5-way switch, and those were definitely the best feature of that scooter back then. And the tremolo arm and bar are definitely really great thing with the Strat always in my opinion, and I would almost always pick a Strat with the tremolo arm rather than the Strat without the tremolo arm. It adds lots of different options to your playing. And the top with the bolted neck, it definitely looks great for the price in my opinion, nothing to complain about. And one thing with these tremolo arms and bars, especially if you are a beginner or if you are going to buy the first guitar with the tremolo bar and block for you, especially with these budget ones, don't over tighten the bar, because that block can break quite easily, especially with these cheaper ones. And with my first electric guitar with that Strat that I mentioned, I broke that block because I over tightened the tremolo arm. The guitar still worked after that, but tremolo arm kind of worked, but it was loose all the time because you couldn't tighten it anymore. And now it's time to look at the inside of the backplate and see how the tremolo block looks, how the springs look, and how the ground wire looks. And everything looks great over here. Block, no cracks, it looks solid. 3 springs, and this axe also had 1 extra spring coming with it out of the box, and the soldering with the ground wire looks good also. And you can also see those 2 screws going inside the guitar's body. With these screws you can use the tremolo arm, and how you can use it, you can make it looser to use or tighter to use if you want. I measured the width of the neck from the nut and from the 12th fret, and also I measured the string spacing. It's nice to know because especially if you want to finger pick a lot, wider string spacing helps a lot in my opinion. And from these under $200 electric guitars that I have recently featured and reviewed on here my channel and on my website, this Squier has the widest string spacing with the Ibanez. So in my opinion this is good for finger picking. And I also tested if this axe has any uneven frets. When I put the ruler on top of the frets, there should not be room for the paper to fit between the frets and the ruler. And this one, some uneven frets. The most noticeable probably was the 3rd fret. It was lower than the 2nd and the 4th fret, but still. This Bullet Strat had the least uneven frets with the Jackson GS 2020 Dinky from this under $200 electric guitars that I have recently tested, and I experienced no fret buzz with this Bullet Strat. I also measured the resistance of the pickups with multimeter. This is not the same thing as an output, but it gives us some indications about how much output the pickup will have. If the pickup has more resistance, it has more output, and less resistance, it has less output. So you can see that the mid-single coil here, it gives you the coldest and probably the brightest tones. Next single coil, a little bit hotter, more output, and the bridge humbucker gives you most output and the hottest tones, and it is probably best option for you if you want to play metal or distorted riffs. And now the looks. I think that it's hard for me to point out any real issues with this Stratocaster. Maybe the Bullet Stratocasters don't have the best color options available for me, that's the small flaw, but this always comes down to your personal preferences. But for me, this still looks like a great Stratocaster. The headstock is the smaller one, I like that more than the large headstock. A nice looking fretboard, and the neck looks great, and this contour looks good and feels good also. I would rate the looks of this Squier 4.2 out of 5. Then the hardware. This guitar has those solid tuners, not the best on this price range, but still good. Tremolo, great tremolo block. All is well, no cracks or anything like that. Only flaw with the hardware is this synthetic bone nut. It's not made of bone. I think that it's plastic, and there is something mixed into that plastic that Fender can call it synthetic bone, but I would rather take a plastic nut than this synthetic bone one, because already this is worn off and it looks like it needs to be replaced pretty quickly. But that's really the only con with the hardware of the scooter, and it doesn't ruin the scooter. I would rate the hardware of this axe 4.5 out of 5. Electronics. All the electronics of the scooter work well. All the different pickup selections and settings with the tone and volume knob are working great. Pickups are working as they should. I measured the resistance of the pickups also. No real issues with the electronics. All is well attached, all is working properly. I would rate the electronics of the scooter 4.5 out of 5. And more about the tones of the scooter in the sound section. Then the build quality. Here we have some issues. First, the body. Everything looks good, finish is great. Bolt-on connection with the neck and body. All looks great here. The headstock, no complaints, but on the neck, I don't know if this has been displayed on the music store, or maybe this has been shipped to some consumer before and they returned this scooter. This has some kind of small scratches and bumps on the neck here and a couple here and there also. But this is not the worst flaw. The worst flaw is here. When the nut has been glued in, the glue has spilled closer to the nut. It is noticeable. Here at the center of the fretboard is also glue over here. So even though this is a beginner budget scooter under $200, still this is not acceptable in my opinion. I'm a little bit disappointed at the Fender and Squier's quality control. It should be improved. This scooter has some uneven frets, but these didn't cause any fret buzz for me. But maybe if you want to make the action super low, then you could face some fret buzz. If you are going to buy the scooter, buy it from the place that you can return this for refund fee. And this has a little bit sharp and rough fret edges, but this didn't bother me when I played this. I would rate the finish of the scooter 1.5 out of 5. Then the playability. The body, it feels great. It has this contour over here. It connects you with the scooter. You can feel the vibrations of it. The fret edges, as I mentioned, a little bit sharp. Didn't bother really me. Comfortable C neck shape, which usually fits for all of us. Action is not super low, but it's on the sweet spot for Stratocaster in my opinion. The medium jump frets leave some room for lowering the action, but even now this is quite effortless to play in my opinion. And the feel of the neck is a little bit cheap, but still it feels nice to play, and it didn't bother me when I was playing, but I noticed that when I got this scooter. It has a little bit cheap feel on it. I would rate the playability of the scooter 4.2 out of 5.
Now it's time to compare this bullet Strat to some similar options, and first we are going to compare it to Squier Affinity Stratocaster, which costs about $70 more. This graph highlights some key similarities and key differences. First, the nut wide. With bullet Strat you get more original feel with the 1.65 inch nut wide, and the Affinity Strat, it's slightly more narrow and it makes it probably more better suitable for small hands. For example, I have played these both. Bullet Strat I had in my own testing, and Affinity Strat I have played it in the music stores, and it's, for my small hands, it's slightly more comfortable to play, but Bullet Strat is definitely not bad either. And if you have real man's hand, big large hands, then the Bullet Strat neck might be more suitable for you. And the pickups, in some reviews I have heard folks saying that these have different pickups, but to my understanding and after checking Fender's site, these two have same pickups, standard Strat and standard humbucker pickups with this HSS option. Both have same body wood, no difference there, and these two have different headstocks, and this is kind of cosmetic difference only. The Bullet Strat has that smaller traditional Strat headstock, and the Affinity has the larger headstock, and Personally, I like the smaller traditional Strat headstock more, but definitely that bigger headstock with Affinity Strat is not game breaker for me. Then there you can see the price difference according to Fender's own site. And then about the quality and finish, and this is one of the biggest differences. Headstock is only cosmetic, and nut wide it's kind of only what you want playability wise. See, maybe if you have small hands, smaller nut wide, and if you have big hands, the wider neck. But I think that with Affinity Strat you get better quality and finish quality. The edges of the fretboard and the frets itself are more comfortable with Affinity Strat in my opinion. That's maybe one of the biggest differences between these two. You are paying for slightly more comfortable to play guitar. And I'm not talking about nut wides here. I'm talking about the feel and the finish quality of the frets and fretboard. And the second key difference between these two are the tuners. The Bullet Strat has square standard diecasts and the Affinity has round standard diecasts. Fender says that both have standard diecast, but you can definitely see the difference in shape. Generally, reviews and comparisons about these two say that the Bullet Strat has worse tuners, but in some cases these seem to have same tuners. At least they look exactly same, and personally I think that these have same tuners in some models, but usually you get those square standard diecast tuners and you can see the difference in the shape of those. This my version of the Bullet Strat, it has these round standard diecast, and I think that these are solid for the price. Not the best on this under 200 bucks price range, but still solid tuners, and I didn't have any tuning issues with this Bullet Strat that I had. Personally, what I would do, I would get the Affinity Strat, especially for my small and weak hands. The more narrower nut wide and wide of the neck overall is more comfortable, and it offers also better quality. But if you have really tight budget and you want that more original type of wider Strat neck, then Bullet Strat is a solid option. But I would look for the version that has these round shaped tuners that I had. Those were solid for me. And one other thing that can help you to spot which version you have, on the headstock it says Squier Stratocaster, and that worse version in my opinion it says that Squier Bullet Strat. So if I had to get the Bullet Strat, I would look for this version that I had, even though it had some flaws in finish, but of course you can return that kind of products usually if you have some real build flaws out of the box. And then I will compare this Bullet Strat to this Ibanez GO GRX70 GU-A model that I also had in my testing, and I'm also going to feature this GO to the best electric scooters under 200 roundup video, which I'm going to do soon, and also subscribe for that. These have exactly the same nut width, but the GO has slightly thinner neck. Both are comfortable to play, but I think that the GO is slightly more comfortable. And the pickups, both are quite versatile, but Ibanez gives more versatility in my opinion, and the sound quality overall is better with the Ibanez, even though that these humbuckers that you get with this GO are kind of Ibanez's budget pickups, but still I think that these sound solid, and especially if you want to play metal but also want to play lots of other types of music, then this Ibanez GO is a great option. Bodywood, both have popular bodies, but GO has quilted maple art grain top, so you can see the difference in the looks. And this quilted maple has these shapes and the wood that you can see these immediately on the GO. And personally I think this difference in the body woods doesn't make real difference in tone, but if it makes with GO, this maple top can add some brightness, but personally I think that it doesn't. Pickups make the real difference. So mostly this is kind of a look thing. If you like the quilted maple top, then GO might be a better option for you. Bullet Strat has 21 medium jumper frets and GO has 22 medium frets. But still, GO is slightly more effortless to play than the Bullet. But Bullet is not bad, definitely. And the price, $20 difference. This can vary a lot, depends where you live, but these are those basics US dollar prices. And Indian Laurel and Jatoba fretboards. Indian Laurel gives you kind of more Stratocaster feel with your fretboard, but Geo's fretboard is really smooth, so it kind of comes onto your own personal preferences. Both look great, and the feel is solid too. And then the nut. Even though that the synthetic bone might look great in the specs, but in my opinion, at least with this Squier bullets that I have, the nut was not good. It was definitely the worst from these 5 electric scooters under 200 that I have recently tested. It already looked at that it has been worn off a little bit, and it should be replaced as soon as possible. It kind of looked that it has been used for a couple of years. But Geo plastic nut, at least in this price range, I think this nut is better. It seems like it's new, really, and probably it's more durable. And between these two, I think that these have no tonal differences because of the nut materials. And what I would do, I would get the Ibanez Geo. It offers better value for the money, even though the Squier is less expensive. Neither of these don't offer the best finish quality, in my opinion, in this under $200 price range. But still, the Geo, it sounds better in my opinion. It gives you more versatility, and it's also more comfortable to play in. So Geo would be my pick here. But I'm definitely not saying here that the Bullet Strat sucks. Especially this version that I have, I think that it's solid scooter. Even though that my copy had these finish issues out of the box. Without those, I think that you get solid value for the money with this Squier Bullet Strat. But still, Ibanez Geo takes the edge here. Now it's time to hear how this scooter sounds. I recorded and played clean, grunts and distorted sections, both rhythm and lead parts. So let's check these sound samples out.
sound of the Squier. In my opinion, the tones of the Squier are a little bit underrated. Yes, some tones are a little bit boxed and sound like you are playing on underwater and a little bit dull. But still, for the price, I think that you get really nice, crispy, bright, spanky single coil tones with these single coil pickups, and these humbuckers add a ton of versatility for you and are pretty great with the distorted tones. Overall, these pickups are quite versatile. Maybe you get more versatility and better sounding pickups with this Ibanez, for example, one single coil and 2 humbuckers. But still, I had really fun time playing this. This sounds great for the price in my opinion. I would rate the tones of the Squier 4.1 out of 5. Maybe not the best metal Squier if you're looking for that. 10 the value for money. Yeah, those couple flaws in the finish. Glue over here, quite bad. And then some scratches on the neck. But still, for the price that this goes, I think that you get good value for money still. I would rate the value for money with this 3.6 out of 5. 10 the overall score. Again, as I mentioned, some flaws in finish, but great sounding tones for the price. Great tuners, but remember to choose this better version of the Bullet Stratocaster, which has these round tuners, and it doesn't say the Bullet Strat, it says the Stratocaster. This is a great beginner Stratocaster in my opinion, and I think most of the folks that are buying this Squier are not going to get these glue stains with their Squier. As always, if you are going to order this from online, make sure that you can return the Squier for refund if the Squier has some flaws in finish or you don't like it for some reason. Overall, I would rate this Squier 3.6 out of 5, keeping the price of this Squier in mind, and also that most of the folks who buy this are not going to get these glue stains with the Squier. Check the latest price of this Squier by clicking the link in the description. It helps me out, I can produce more Squier content, and it adds no extra cost for you. Would I recommend this Squier? If you like the looks of this, you want a Stratocaster, you want a versatile Squier, which is quite comfortable to play, yes, this would be a good option. But be ready for some issues with the finish and buy this Squier from the place that you can return it for full refund. You can watch the No Talk sound demo and the unboxing of the Squier on my channel, and the best electric Squier under 200 video where all these Squiers and the sound sample of these are included also. So check those out, and lots of more Squier content is coming onto your way, especially the best Squier amps under $200 and under $100 series. So stay tuned for those, subscribe for more, leave a like or comment, and hopefully I will see you soon.